place, and then I moved to Anchorage. And there I connected with a woman just randomly. I started writing a blog. I don't do a blog anymore because it just is a time suck, but I started doing a blog. And this was about 2008-ish. And someone else in Anchorage, another author, was doing a blog, and she approached me and said we should combine forces. And so we did. We created this blog called 49 Writers, 49 because Alaska is a 49th state. And here again, you guys are really learning about my ignorance. I also didn't know what a writing center was, and this other woman who combined forces with me on the blog said we should make this a writing center. I'm like, what's that? And she explained that a writing center is, helps you do instruction and programming and so on. And so we were younger. We were both younger than we are now. Lots of energy, and we started a nonprofit from scratch and created a writing center, which is still going today. You can look it up, 49 Writers, and it's a really vibrant organization that has programming and instruction for writers statewide. Faster for people who read fast, and I love history, so I thought I'd do historical fiction, so I named myself into Vanessa Lind. Lynn, L-Y-N-N, used to be my middle name. So I started Vanessa Lind Books, and these are the 3 I've written so far. And when I say writing fast, like I'm kind of on a schedule of about 4 a year. And I just started this project. So these are this one is available for everybody. I knew there were women spies in World War II, and I thought, I wonder about the Civil War. And sure enough, there were these women spies, and I read about one whose story was super compelling, but little is known about her, mostly because she's a woman, which, by the way, that was the other thing I forgot to say about Kate Carmack and the Wealth Woman book. Yeah, I picked a woman who was illiterate, so there were no memoirs or anything, it was really, to pull that pieces of her story together were tricky. With fiction, though, that's a great asset. Like, I know this woman that I discovered, they don't even really know what her name was. She worked for the Pinkerton Agency. She went by Hattie Lawton, but also by Hattie Lewis. And then after this big incident happens, that is in the Careers Life book, she just disappears. Anyway, super fun to write. And I'll just read you again, just a very short. So this is fiction, obviously. September 2nd, 1862. Not yet 9 in the morning, and the September day already promised sweltering heat. South of the nation's capital, storm clouds piled along the horizon, teasing the promise of rain that never came. Directly overhead, the Washington sky was brilliant and cloudless, the air still and humid. Hattie Logan felt perspiration beating around her collar. Like a July day back in Indiana, Hattie thought, then immediately banished the idea, wanting nothing more to do with where she'd come from. Forward, that was the only direction for her. They approached the Treasury building, a massive stone structure that towered over the path, casting a welcome shadow. It's been 3 days, Anne said. We should check the casualty list. 2 days, Hattie corrected. And if we stop, we'll be late, and Lucy will run straight to Miss Warren. Lucy Hamilton was the self-appointed supervisor of Alan Pinkerton's mailroom girls, who opened letters the courier brought, searching for rebel secrets that would aid the Union cause. Miss Warren won't mind, Anne insisted. Of course Anne would say that. She was on good terms with the woman who oversaw their work for Mr. Pinkerton. Maybe she won't mind about you, Hattie said, but she doesn't like me. That's not true. It's just that you clam up whenever she's around. I'm only being discreet, Hattie said. It was a nice way of saying that the less she said, the less she'd be asked about who she was and where she came from. Anne rolled her eyes, having heard this excuse any number of times. Of all Hattie appreciated about her friend, Anne's willingness not to pry was at the top of the list. Crinolines rustling, they reached the wide marble steps of the Treasury, where the Sanitary Commission posted lists of whichever casualties had happened to filter in, often long after the battles were over. "It will only take a few minutes to check," Anne said, worry shining in her gray eyes. Reports coming in from Manassas, where a second battle had ended only days ago, suggested casualties in the thousands. As usual, the soldiers' families would likely be the last to know.